T.B.Photo X1.5 to FX, and welcome back to another video. Well, yes, this is gonna be a little bit of an update on what's gonna be coming out in the coming weeks, months, and so on this channel. Yeah, as you know, I've done that little video, link to it in the description, where I did close-up photography using the Nikkor, the medical Nikkor, I should say, 200mm f. Yeah, anyway, the 200mm up to 3 times macro lens. So I have actually thought a little bit about what I want to do as a continuation on the same concept. So as you can see, this is a little bit, covered up, and I think it's time to, uncover this little treasure trove of what I have acquired when it comes to macro photography. Well, just a little bit of a water break here. Well, you've already seen me doing macro with the medical Nikkor using the Nikon FA with Kodacolor, I think Kodacolor Plus 200 ISO film. So I think we are gonna do some other types of macro work with some other formats and cameras. So what we have here a little bit of a plethora of different types of macro photography gear. But anyway, let's start off with, well, here you have the Mamiya 645 Pro, a camera that I have used many times before. And yeah, I had the 80mm macro lens, the f4 lens for this camera since way back, and yeah, I think I'm gonna use this one again, but now in a more of a studio setting. Yeah, this one takes 6 by 4.5 centimeter negatives in a dedicated film back. And yeah, you have the prism finder. I have links in the description for videos where I talk about this camera in detail. And then the other one I've had from before, it's probably one of my most polarized videos. It's the Sigma 105mm f2.8 macro. So that's 105mm, so it would be cool maybe to compare the 200mm and how that compared to a 105mm macro lens. That would be interesting, at least in my opinion. But I would like to hear from you also. Put in the comment section below, what do you feel about these sort of things? Do you do macro work, and what would you do? And what are you doing, maybe I should probably say. But anyway, the person that I have had as an inspiration source for macro work is the photography legend Lennart Nilsson, who I have plugged many times before on this channel. Unfortunately, Mr. Nilsson passed away a couple of years back, but the images still speak for themselves, and they are completely brilliant. And I really subscribe to his little motto in photography, which is, I want to make the invisible visible. Yeah, so the 105 is currently mounted on the Nikon F4. See if I'm gonna use that in camera or not. That is what the future holds. But anyway, also a little bit for some of these, in order to make a good exposure, I am gonna use some strobe units and so on, but I would rather than also use the Sunpack. This is a Sunpack DX12R, which is a ring flash unit. This is for Nikon mount. The flash mount is for Nikon, but I know it works with the center point of the Mamiya for using the flash in an all manual mode. It also has some modeling lights, LEDs on the ring flash itself. And you use these types of ring adapters in the filter thread of the camera in order to use the flash. For power, I usually use rechargeable Claes Olsen AA batteries. They are available in AAAs and so on. So yeah, that would be a good little caveat for all you who live in Sweden or any other nation where Claes Olsen happens to operate in. So yeah, and then moving right along, we have the beast of this medium format cameras, the Mamiya RC67. I have the Pro 2 model, as I've been told and from what I've ever been able to gather, the biggest difference between the Pro 2 and the Pro is that this one has the fine focusing knob, and you have the RBL setting on the shutter counter, which means that you can use RB lenses on this camera body. Okay, also it has a center point or a 2-pin hot shoe on the side here. I think you have some, PC ports and so on. I have the winder here as well. So yeah, it's a little bit cool. If you want to check out a brilliant photographer that has a Frankenstein version of the RB67, I would really recommend Julio Ryuuzaki. He is a guy in Japan. I'm gonna put it. Yeah, he's a fashion photographer in Japan who has a Frankenstein monster of a RZ67. So if you want to, I'll put a link to his channel in the description, because that's a brilliant guy when it comes to Mamiya photography. Okay, and also in the background we have the Hasselblad, the 6x6 camera that has been infamous or the famous, however we want to put it. This is the ELM, or electric modified, which is basically like a 500 cm but with a permanent attached motor binder. I have it its own little series about NASA/Hasselblad photography, but I don't really have a macro lens for it. Okay, we're gonna change back to the Mamiya RZ for a moment. What I have it on it currently is the, let's see, 140mm f4.5 macro lens. I don't have any extension tubes for this one, but I might get some in the future. But I think it's if you want a 1-to-1 macro on this, you actually need the extension tubes. But thankfully, because of eBay, that might be possible in the future. But that's something for the future, as stated. That is a little bit of a segue into the point about the Hasselblad, because I don't have a dedicated macro lens for that camera as of now. I do have some. You can see it in the link in the description below to that video. But what I'm going to use are these two, which are Hasselblad extension rings that can make you focus closer. So what do we have here? We have the 16mm. Let's see if I can wind this up. So there we go. The 16, and this is the 32. So these two will have some really great benefits, I would say, when you want to do close-up work with the Hasselblad camera. I think these work with most Hasselblad models and so on. Yeah, so they are a little bit of the kit that will be used in future installations of my journey into macro work. So, what would I want to ask you now, ladies and gentlemen? I'm gonna use a lot of film cameras here now, and I would like to hear from you if anybody out there in YouTube land are doing macro photography with film, and in that case, what type of film stocks do you actually use? Do you use, one of my favorites is Kodak Ektar, but there are a bunch of other ones. I think the Hasselblad is currently loaded with, I think it's Ilford Delta 400, which is a fine grain, higher speed film. I don't think I have any film in this as of now, but I think I have some Fuji actually in the Nikon, and this one I know is currently empty. So yeah, I would like to throw that question over to you now, ladies and gentlemen. What type of film stocks would you recommend for macro? It could be either 35 or 120 roll film, but I'm open to suggestions. So yeah, but a little bit of a segue into that. I know that the first little endeavor after the Medical-Nikkor will actually be the Mamiya 645. So here's a little bit of a thumbnail teaser for that. Yeah, and we are back. So that I think actually will sum it up a little bit for now. That's the kit that I've been able to accumulate so far in my little journey into macro photography. I mean, this has been accumulated over a number of years, so I thought that it might be cool to throw something together with all of this. So there are better things out there to do macro with, but this is what I have handy and available for now. So as always, this is Tobias Bergstrom from T.B.Photo X1.5 to FX, and as always, please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. So take care from now on. Bye.